Welcome to Typebook. We are Chris and Rose, INTJ and INFJ, and we are cataloging a variety of people based on their Jungian psychological types and their MBTI four-letter abbreviations. Today we are taking a look at Ursula Le Guin at the request of a viewer.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, go.
In your books, you do have a lot of ideas. They're not just stories. Not that that's not wonderful. A story is wonderful, but they're about ideas.
Story's basic.
And one of the ideas is about being a woman and what does it entail, and we're kind of getting into that in this. Can you elaborate on that a little bit? What is the difference, and what does it? How do you handle it? I guess we'll start from there.
I don't know. It's changed so much. I wrote a book back in the '60s called Left-Handed Darkness, where I was first asking myself, okay, what is the difference between men and women? And the means I used to talk about it was to invent a race of people who are androgynous, fully androgynous. You only become sexually active once a month, and you may become active as a man or as a woman. You don't know which. So that everybody is part of the time non-sexual and part of the time either a man or a woman. So then when no one is a man and no one is a woman permanently, what's left? What remains that's human?
What is a person?
What are they like?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it was a sort of thought experiment, and I played around with that. And I guess I've been...
All right,
Okay, let's stop.
Isn't that so INTP?
Yeah.
It's this very strange, impersonal dissection of a basic idea. I guess it's so low,
Yeah.
Effie. Yeah.
Because it seems
It's what
so
makes it brilliant.
alien
Yes.
to me.
Yes.
Like, to me, it's like, well, why do you need to do all this? And then play it out.
But she said why. What's left at the end. This is why I find it brilliant. I love the unconventional way of approaching a problem to get down to the nuts and bolts of a thing. And she said she just stripped it all away until what was left, and that basically is the essence of it. That's your answer. I find it brilliant. I mean, INTPs can just take these ideas and play with them in this detached way. They distance themselves from it and really think about it and just play with it to kind of distill it down to something very interesting and meaningful.
We mentioned this a little bit with the Nassim Taleb video, like the deconstruction into mechanical parts, and you can kind of see that here as well. Because not only is she deconstructing things, she's rebuilding them partially to form conclusions from it. And that's the same process he did.
Right.
Albeit...
Yeah, well, they share the
SI
same
and
functions. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Opposite. Okay, 3, 2, 1, go.
Every now and then I come back round to the same subject.
Well, that's what I partly mean about playfulness. You have a short story in which the people are a dominant species, and so are lions, and so are cats, and they play them. You play them off against each other. To me, that's a form of playing.
Oh, sure, all art is playing.
Okay.
Yeah, like dancers. What do dancers do? They play with their bodies.
With themselves.
Yeah.
So you're exploring what is the nature of a woman, and what is just being a human being. Would you come up with, what are you telling? Have you got a message for women right now?
Oh, gee, I don't like to do messages because I am a storyteller.
Okay.
The story is the message,
Right.
and you can't extract fortune cookie things out of it.
Okay.
I would just say that the whole women's movement of the late 60s and 70s and 80s has simply, I'm just grateful to it. It has just enabled me to go on as a person, as a woman, as a writer, where I think I might have been getting stuck without it. Just the way of thinking that they've given us and the sort of sense of solidarity and so on has been very important to me.
A form of validating your own experience, and did you feel that need to have?
And the sense of solidarity is also very, very necessary, I think.
Is this
Right,
in
let's
the
not.
direct associations that you have
Interesting.
made, or just in?
She didn't want to be put on the spot as giving some kind of moral speech about how it's important.
It's obvious that she doesn't want to say, like, definitive right and wrong statements.
Yeah. We've seen this before with certain interviewers. They want the interviewee to make some kind of
It seems to be the way, doesn't
grandiose.
it?
Yeah, like what are your personal thoughts about this? Help inspire us. Give us something inspirational. And you could tell it's like that's not what she wants to do here. What was her answer? She does it through a writing or through story or something?
Yeah, she said you can't
Mm-hmm.
take fortune cookies from the story,
Yes.
or whatever.
Yes.
It is the whole.
Yeah, and we see interviewers kind of wanting people to do this, and
Yeah, they essentially what they're doing is going, oh, pick a side. Like, what?
right.
No, go away.
Or self-reflect in this moment out loud for some little tidbit of inspiration for the rest of us. And she's not having it.
It's
So
annoying. Media seems to want to just put you into this box or that box. Go away, media. Okay, we travelled backwards in the video.
We traveled backwards in time. Ursula would probably approve. Although I've never heard them talk about that. They more talk about going into the future.
I'm not sure if she would definitively say that, though.
True.
She would avoid that. Right, okay. 3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah.
How do you work? I think a lot of people who, when they stop to think about creative people, think it's sort of like a 24-hour golf game or always going fishing or something. What is it that you do?
It is funny. People, particularly writing, I think, people do assume it's something you do in your spare time.
Yes.
It's kind of, I do my housework in my spare time.
Yeah.
Well, these days when the kids are grown up and out of the house, I sort of get to my desk between 7 and 8 in the morning and leave it between 12 and 1. Because 4 or 5 hours work, if I'm working hard, is all I can do anymore. Mm-hmm. When the kids were home, I worked at night because you cannot do real artistic professional work and be looking after kids, be responsible to and for kids at the same time. There's no way you can do that. So you get them to bed or whatever,
But it's not a mutually exclusive possibility for one person to do both.
Can I stop?
One person to...
There's something so funny about INTP and ENTP women, in that they're like this strange on and off of like fun, silly, and then like serious, stern.
Yes.
Like my great grandmother was exactly like this, like the most fun person ever. And then when she's not, and then you're like, she's the same. She's like, it's like she just goes from silliness and seriousness and lovingness and like sternness, just like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like she's like a little giggly girl, and then she turns into a serious thinker woman.
Logically practical, and then the most fun grandma in the world.
Yeah.
Don't forget to like and subscribe if you like our videos. Otherwise, every time you don't subscribe, Rose beats me up. Terribly. Okay?
Well, now I'm hoping for no subscribers.
3, 2, 1. Go.
To do both is pretty hard. If you've got a supportive spouse, and I mean truly supportive, so that she's got her job, he's got his job, and they've got their job, which is child rearing and housekeeping. Mm-hmm. And that's precisely what my husband gave me, was that kind of really genuine, generous support with no strings attached. So that is quite unusual, but it does work. Mm-hmm. 2 people can do 3 full-time jobs, yes.
Yeah, that's a very good way to put it.
But I don't think one person can do 2 full-time jobs. Women kill themselves trying to do that. And get into so much rage and anger and guilt about it that, if you don't have this kind of partnership, then you've got to get some kind of hired help or child care. I think is the only way to do it.
If you're going to keep
if you're going to have a family and be a full-time artist too, yeah, or professional of any kind, really.
Well, and you have to keep it going, because if you're going to wait till they grow up, it's going to be hard to step back into your own life.
It's very hard. But there again, my mother apparently did not wait to be a writer and didn't sit around itching and fretting. Mm-hmm. But as soon as she got rid of all of us and we were all off raising our own families, she sort of settled down and started writing and published one book, and then her second book, Ishi, was, of course, a bestseller and is a permanent classic now. Mm-hmm. Well, she was, I guess she was getting on around 60 by the time she wrote Ishi. Mm-hmm. So she started in her 50s. That's very unusual, but it's not impossible.
Had she been writing all along, too?
No, she hadn't. I asked her once, I said, did you suppress all this while you were bringing us all up and so on? And she said, no, I just sort of had it in mind that someday I would start writing. But she seemed, as far as I can see, she felt no resentment or anything. In a way, I'm sorry about it. I wish she'd started sooner. And let us look after ourselves, because she was so good. She would have had 20 more years of writing. But she did what she did, and she sure did it well.
Well, and she got herself, five children into the grown-up world, and that's an achievement.
Indeed it is.
So,
yeah.
Interesting way of looking at that.
It is, isn't it?
Whole feminism angle. She said 2 people can do 3 jobs, but 1 person can't do 2.
I think it's interesting how she kind of feels a little bit of guilt for, almost being a burden
right
to her mother when she could have been more successful. Yes. And then at the end of the day, though, her mother's successors are her children, including her, who's laughing now.
Yeah.
There is no Ursula Le Guin without
yes.
whoever her mum is. That's probably a very FE perspective, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we have swapped interviews. 3, 2, 1, go.
An interest you've pursued, and what sorts of opportunities are there that might not be in realist fiction per se?
Well, if you make it up, you can kind of open the door to possibilities. Where if you're writing mimetic fiction, realistic fiction, fiction that says this is how it is, in a sense, the doors are all closed. And this is one of the things that I think imaginative fiction has always done. Is sort of throw a door or a window open and say, well, what if we went out there and found out what's happening outside? And I'm thinking of a teenager who caught me at a reading once in San Francisco way back. This would be in the 70s or 80s. 80s probably. And she said, do you know why I love Star Trek? And that would be the old Star Trek. And I said, well, I like Star Trek too, but why do you love Star Trek? And she said, because it shows me a future where I can live. And remember, Star Trek was very idealistic and very moral and so on. And here was this 15-year-old. That's what she was getting. That's why she was reading science fiction and watching it.
When you were 15, were there particular doors that you saw as being closed that then maybe later you opened in your writing? Or saw others open?
When I was 15, I think I mostly just saw open doors. Hey, I want to go through.
INTP statement.
I think one of the things people often associate with an alternative or future.
Okay.
We just got done looking at several INTP female authors, and we'll be making videos in the future about them. But it's very interesting because they said almost exactly the same thing as what she's saying here. The one author in particular was saying that she's afraid how the current trend is in writing, where you can't imagine things if you're not actually that person or have experience as that person. Because her whole fun in writing is to try to imagine characters that she couldn't possibly be. Like, in other words, she doesn't want to have closed doors. That's basically what she was saying. And this woman is saying the same thing. She doesn't want really anything to be off limits. She wants everything to be available to her for her mind to explore. And she even said when she was 15, she only saw open doors.
That's sort of the point of art, though, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So to have closed doors in art kind of means you're not allowed to do your art. It'd be like saying, yes, you can paint a picture, but you're only allowed to use yellow.
Yes. And I think for an INTP, they have such an, and I mean this like when I say impersonal, but it's what makes them brilliant. They have such an impersonal way of exploring ideas, and especially like as an author. I mean, she could write about anything she wanted to, really, because she's not attached to it morally. I think she can explore all the different avenues without worrying about it in that sense. And I think that's probably what makes them really ingenuitive, creative writers, artists, whatever. Because they can play outside the box. And not, when they have these world rules imposed on them, like, well, you shouldn't do that because that's not morally correct by the world's eyes, or, you're not allowed to do this, we're imposing a standard that says this. That's just very depressing for them, I would think. And it literally just would shut down all their creativity. And they couldn't do what they can do.
I just think that, they have the perfect function stack to tear things down, assemble them. Well, they're really creative types because any is sort of limitless. And they have so much depth in their TI, coldly so. And then they have SI too, which again, it's just very mechanical, feeling is like an afterthought for sure with INTPs. Unless it's their own, I suppose, enjoying exploring this grand idea.
Right.
It's not in the works so much. Really, it's kind of what you make of it, I suppose, which is kind of makes it even more artistic, but kind of unintentionally, perhaps. I mean, she said so herself that she didn't want to have any sort of say any moralistic statements. She simply just made the book, and well, isn't that interesting? It's they're men and they're women and they're not, and well, that's an interesting idea. What do you think about that? It's not our place to say in some way. It's not what she does as a writer, right?
Yeah, and in the same way as she doesn't want to make moralistic statements, she doesn't also want them applied to her work either. Because it's so limiting in a way.
Yeah, or her.
I mean, when she can take the concept of men and women and then create in her mind some kind of androgynous race. For her, it's like everything's on the table to be entertained as an idea.
It's almost like she's not really telling the story. She's just gone, oh, here you go, concept. Let's have men, women, but then 1 month a year. Oh, that's interesting. Let's see what happens.
Yes, but I think there's more to it because, again, the NE serves the TI. So it's kind of like in that exploration, there's going to be a deconstruction of thought that will lead somewhere.
But she doesn't know where it's going, right? That's what she said.
Right.
This was her experiment. I think she used those words. So in a way, like, she is a reader as much as she is a writer.
I love listening to people of this age speak because presumably, hopefully, they will be well developed. And you can tell she's very well developed. She has thought things through. She knows how to answer these questions. And most importantly, she's learned to trust her process. She trusts her instincts. And that's probably what made her so successful. To support our project, please comment, like, and subscribe. We want to encourage a dialogue in the comments, so substantiated disagreement is welcome. Check out the playlist for this type and our recommended video below. If there's someone you want us to type, please leave a comment for us. Or you can look into our fast track system to find out how you can get your favorite people typed sooner.